Good morning. I'm Leah Fleming. Fort Valley State University is welcoming a new president this week. Paul Jones will now lead the prestigious historically black university as its 10th president. He joins us in the studio to talk about this exciting new role for him. Good morning, Dr. Jones.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be here with you this morning.
We are so excited to have you. And we wanted to first talk to you about this new role that you're stepping into. I wanted to get your impressions about FVSU and what are you thinking and feeling as you go into this week?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm excited about getting started this Wednesday. Certainly, it's been a tremendous challenge trying to close down one institution and sort of get ready for the new institution. But as I've had an opportunity to meet some of the staff and faculty and even students at the institution throughout the last couple of weeks, I've gotten more excited about this opportunity and anxious to get started and see what we can do to move this institution where it deserves to be.
Yeah, it's located in Fort Valley. This is a community that is relatively small. Have you gotten us a lay of the land?
Certainly I'm still learning, and as I told the campus community, I know I have a steep learning curve, much to learn about the rich history of this institution, about the community. But I'm counting on everyone to become the teachers, to help me and educate me on the real Fort Valley experience, the Fort Valley community and the region. Fortunately, I know far more about the region, having lived here for several years, but I still have much to learn as it relates to the institution.
Yeah. After declining enrollment, state officials last month, they decided to combine another HBCU, Albany State University, with nearby Darton State College. You are very familiar with Darton, as you have served as the interim president of that college. This consolidation, by the way, is the first in Georgia to combine a historically black college with a predominantly white institution. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that. What does a merger like this do to HBCUs? Do you see this as a potentially viable plan to make sure that both colleges continue to go on? And could something like this happen to Fort Valley State?
Well, I think that's an excellent question. What I will say is that having served in Southwest Georgia for the last 2+ years, I've learned a great deal about the community. I've learned a great deal about both institutions. And what I will say is that I do believe this was the right decision for that institution and for that community. As an important economic engine for that part of the region, many of the Southwest Georgia institutions were challenged a great deal. And so by bringing these institutions together, I do think we have an opportunity to build something special. What people forget is that Darton was a very diverse institution, roughly 48% African American. But if you take the entire student population, if you international and other minorities, it was the majority, so 51%. So while I believe it will be challenging initially, I think the future's bright. Now, in terms of Fort Valley, I know that's a big question for a lot of people. Was I brought here to consolidate the institution? And I think the answer is no. I think the Board of Regents want to do everything they can to help this institution to realize its full potential and get back to some of the great days that it has had in its rich 120+ year history. And so my job is really simple. I told the faculty and staff there, I don't have a hidden agenda. The agenda really is clear. It's helping this institution, right-size the institution, move this institution in the right direction in order to not only serve today's students, but to serve the students tomorrow as well. Well,
yes. Just to the north of us, up in Atlanta, there are two very well-known HBCUs, Spelman and Morehouse. They have huge endowments, and they have a lot of well-known names to come out of those institutions. Is that a challenge for Fort Valley State, do you think? I would imagine, are you in competition with those institutions, those HBCUs, or?
Well, quite honestly, in today's society, we're in competition with a lot of institutions, regardless of type. I will say this, is that one of the things that I've learned and I've been pleasantly pleased with is that the alumni of this institution really care deeply about it. I understand that we are ranked approximately number 10 of the HBCUs in terms of the alumni giving. We need to move that higher. I think that represents about a 14% of the alums who are giving back. That needs to increase dramatically if we're going to really support the students that we're serving. But that's a good starting place. I will say that as I've learned over the last few weeks, this institution has a lot going for itself. There are some great things that are happening. I have just been overwhelmed with the kind of research, the opportunities for students in terms of undergraduate research in the STEM fields, what we are provided to our students. The challenge, I think, is getting that information in front of people and marketing ourselves in a way, so that more know about the great things that we're doing at this institution.
Yeah, because I would say we hear a lot about what's happening up north in terms of Spelman and Morehouse, but not a lot about Fort Valley State, although I know that there are a number of prestigious graduates of that institution as well, including professional ball players and legislators.
Yes, and that's part of it. We've been challenged a little bit fiscally, and so just to say that we're going to sort of go over and turn on the light switch and all of this will happen it would be unrealistic. However, we have got to set some priorities, and that has to be at the top of our list in terms of getting our message out, so that some of the things that we've been challenged with don't tell the story about this institution and its students and its faculty, and so we will be spending a great deal of time trying to figure out how we can do a far better job in this regard.
Yeah. Over the last few decades, specialized schools like all women's colleges and HBCUs have had their share of challenges in terms of enrollment and endowments. And it really does beg the question, are these types of institutions viable today and even necessary? Is it necessary to have HBCUs?
Well, I think so. I think that it's important to have sort of a real broad range of institutions. I recognize that we've made tremendous progress in our country. However, I still believe there is a need, particularly if you look at the kinds of students that we are serving today. Those students still need these kinds of opportunities. I do think, however, that we must be much more inclusive. If we believe that what we're doing is really about excellence, that is really at the top of the level of research and things like that, then we have to embrace more students, particularly from our region. I think if we're going to meet those economic needs of our region, if we're going to be able to respond to the demands in Georgia, particularly in the ag and research area, then we have to be much more inclusive to get more students involved, not only within the country, but even beyond that. So I do think there are tremendous opportunities for students throughout the country to take advantage of this great institution, this type of education that we provide today.
Yeah. Now, you did not attend an HBCU. You are from LA, and you also attended Colorado State University. You also went to Utah State University. You went as an athlete. Talk about your college experience and how does that translate to what you're going to be doing now?
Well, I do think that I'm so grateful for the experiences that I've had. Born and raised in South Central Los Angeles, born in poverty, born at a time that was, tremendous challenges. And my family didn't have the opportunity to send me off to college, but I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship, and I took the scholarship that was available to me, and I don't make any apologies for what happened during that part of my life, because it was the right kind of institution for me at that time in my life. Mm-hmm. I will say that my journey, however, has taken me throughout the country to serve in a wide variety of institutions, from Access to highly selective to all women's college. This will be a first experience for me. However, I want people to know that in 2007, when I served a American Council of Education Fellow, a leadership program that's designed for future leaders, trying to prepare leaders for presidencies and other senior level positions, that was a year that I had to study higher education and reflect, and I took that year to study education, not only in higher education, not only in the United States, but in the UK as well as South Africa. We spent some time at historically black colleges, and I think that was the beginning of what started to intrigue me. I didn't think that I would be in that environment if you had asked me that back during that time. But as I began to learn more, and as I began to, the experience I had in Albany, something kept pulling me. And as I think about many of the students that we're serving, they remind me so much of my own experience and the plight that I had, that I believe this is a calling, and it's far greater than me. It's bigger than me. It's not about me, but it was important that I be used as somewhat of a vehicle to come here and to serve. And so I'm excited about this, and I'm telling people, don't get caught up in what I don't have, because I bring some things to the table. And so does this institution and its community and others. And I think if we can package those things together, we can do some great things. But I understand there's much I need to learn. And when it's all said and done, I would have had this experience. And so I'm really excited about it. And I hope the internal and external community embrace this new leadership that's coming.
Yeah, yeah. President Obama's oldest daughter, she is exploring colleges and universities, and when she first was applying to schools, there was a sort of this chatter going on social media that she should consider an HBCU. Now, I think she's kind of looking at some of the schools her parents went to, Ivy League, but still social media said she should consider this. Would you ever make the case to the Obamas that their daughter should go to Fort Valley State University?
You know, if I had the opportunity, I would tell anyone that they ought to look at Fort Valley. But, you know, colleges, you know, it's about finding the right match. And, you know, I'm again, having been in higher education 30 years, the one thing I've learned, and I've served in enrollment management in many of those schools, and what that means really, I've helped young people to make important decisions. You know, there's probably 3,000 plus colleges and universities in this country. And part of what we have to do is find the right match for students. So it isn't a one-size-fits-all. Mm-hmm. We have to find those important matches, just like other relationships. If we don't find those great matches, then those students won't have the right experience. So, but part of what we have to do is to help people understand that this indeed is an option and a viable option. And so I would do the same thing. I would try to learn more about what their particular needs and desires and wants and all those things are, to see if what we have will align well with what their ultimate goal is. And so if I had the opportunity, I would certainly do that. But let's find the right matches so that our students can have far more success than, quite frankly, what they've been having over the years. They're choosing these institutions without really thinking through what's really in their best interest. Yeah,
yeah. You played football in college. FVSU has a football team.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to that? The games.
Right. It's been a long time since I've been in this environment. Some of the institutions had football. I'm excited about the tradition that exists around this. So it's even bigger than football as I think about the entire experience, and looking forward to learning more about that and how I can provide even greater support to the young men and women who participate in 11+ sports and other programs that exist. But I know how important this is to our alums, and it's another way of bringing people together and to celebrate an institution. And so, yes, and from that regard, yes, I'm looking forward to this new experience.
Yeah. Well, we are so excited for you. This week, you will become the 10th president of Fort Valley State University, very prestigious institution right here in Middle Georgia. And we'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Paul Jones, for coming by and talking.
Thank you for having me.